Good morning, everybody. It's Robert Travels with Dottie, and Dottie and I are heading into town on the final day of 2024. It's New Year's Eve, and we're heading across Lowe's South to run some errands and see what other interesting things we may get ourselves into. And we're trying something a little different today that you may be able to figure out. I don't know, but I do want to know whether it matters to you or not. So what I decided to do today was just put the camera on the front of the truck and not worry about audio recording at all. Get all the footage of everywhere that I went, and then um, just just narrate it the next day as I'm going. And I get it. It's not the same day. It's not as spontaneous. You may not like it as well. And I guess if you don't, um, I'll certainly consider not doing it again, except, when I have a situation where I have bad audio or something and I'm forced to do it. But today it was deliberate. Now, coming up here is we call this the Big Wash. It's the wash that's nearest to our camp that we use to leave our camp. And I tell you, this is so much steeper than it looks on the camera. And of course, I'm not pulling my trailer through this. It looks like just kind of a dip. It's way more than a dip. It's like the camera's going to point like mostly up to the sky here. It really doesn't do it justice. It's I would never ever pull any kind of an RV through that. And it's funny because it's, let's face it, video is only two-dimensional. It's not three-dimensional, so you don't get to see what the angle is really like. It's another pretty beautiful day. You see that cloud cover though? That cloud cover does matter, and it does have an impact on solar, and in particular on my solar. Here's the impact that it has. I will get close on days like this back up to 100%, but I won't get to that level of when you hit 100% where the current coming in is able to kind of balance the cells and go through what they call the absorption process. Um, so that's that. And if you don't get to the absorption process, ah, professional opinions vary, but I would say it's probably a good. I'd like to try to do it every 2 weeks or so. So when we have a lot of kind of days that aren't absolutely perfect, one day I will add my generator to the mix for a couple of hours um, to uh, to try to kick it into absorption. And that absorption is a higher voltage that's going in, that's that the battery's getting up to. And each one of these batteries that you buy inside the casing are individual cells. And when those cells get out of balance through multiple cycles of charging and discharging, the battery becomes less efficient. So you need to get through that absorption phase regularly. And for me, every 2 weeks, I throw on the generator, and my Victron devices will tell me when it's getting into that absorption and will time how long that takes there. Um, what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to figure out the settings on my new, uh, I don't know what to call it other than a radio head. What I did was I have a 2018 Ford F-150, and uh, when I bought it, it had just a regular radio and I think a CD player, which I've never ever stuck a CD into, uh, and a little screen that displays the temperature and the time and the backup camera. And when I say little screen, it's about 4 inches. And I can only get the vaguest idea of what's behind me on the backup camera from that screen. And it's always really bothered me, especially when backing up the rig to hook up to the trailer, things like that, or even backing out of parking spaces. I almost have to sort of bend over and stare at the little tiny screen. So I replaced that whole thing with an Android, a Chinese-made device. What you need to do is, hang on a second. So what I did there was I stopped it and I cut out a portion of the video where I was literally just sitting there in the desert, stationary, while I was working on that Android new radio head, making adjustments to it. And that would have been pretty boring for you. So I cut that out and I'm continuing the narration. We're back, we're on 95 headed into Quartzsite. So you got something to look at while you're listening to me. So it involves, a procedure to sort of take out a small portion of your dashboard and pull that old radio and the climate controls and everything, the air conditioning, everything, the whole thing sort of slides out and it's connected with you can imagine this maze of wires that are have little connectors that are clipped into the unit. So you have to um, unclip all those things, get rid of the old unit, and then take the new unit and clip in all those little things. And there's it's a rat's nest of wires because there are tons of wires that don't connect to anything because it's designed for the one I bought was designed for Ford F-150s between I think 2012 and 2019 or something. So there are lots of different flavors. So there are lots of different kinds of wires for models that you might buy that might have more advanced things that I don't have. So it was really difficult to find all the right wires and plug everything in, which we did a few weeks ago, and everything worked great except for there were manual knobs on the bottom, in particular on the left for volume and mute, which is a real handy thing to have. You could adjust the volume and mute on the screen with your finger, but that's not as readily available, and it wasn't working. And I've been working by email with the company to try to resolve it, and Chinese. And I find with a lot of Chinese companies, customer service, you send them an email with your problem overnight, they will process it because of the time change. They'll translate it, they'll come up with an answer, they'll translate their answer back into English and send it back to you. And it actually works pretty well. You'd be surprised. I don't think any of the problems that I had working with customer support were related to language barriers at all. What they were trying to do was, I'm pretty sure they asked me, "Are you sure you connected everything?" And I said yes. And that'll come back to haunt me later. Um, so we tried a lot of software settings and software uploads, and we just trying things over and over again, and nothing was working. And finally, they said, "Would you take it off and take pictures of your connections for us?" And I got to tell you, I didn't do this install. A friend of mine did, and um, it's I don't want to say it's complicated to take it off, but it takes some special tools to pry things and take off snaps in a special sized uh, um, ratchet or I know I got the terminology wrong, but there are four bolts that have to go off that have to come off. And hey, there's the view of the big tent is on the left there, off in the distance, I think. Is it yet? Hang on, I'm looking at a as I'm doing the narration, I'm looking at a pretty small screen. So I think it was probably there. Maybe we missed it. Maybe it's there on the left. It's hard to tell. But later, when I on the way back today, I'm gonna drive right up to the big tent so you can see what it looks like. But we're going over Interstate 10 here. Anyway, long story short, I ended up buying the tools that I needed to do the job, watching a YouTube video, unhooking everything, and took a picture. And they sent back, "You're still," and I put everything back because I thought everything looked fine to me. And they eventually said, um, back and said, "Look, you did miss a critical thing here. Here's the pin connector isn't there. You need to find it and connect it. This is going to solve your problem." And I was dubious. I was doubtful about it because I didn't see any like obvious connector hanging there. It wasn't connected to anything. But I went ahead and took it apart again. And you can see how much busier it is today than other days. Look at this intersection's busy. So Quartzsite is definitely picking up for sure. Anyway, to make a long story, maybe even longer, or I'm trying to shorten this. I got in there and it took me about 10 minutes of digging around, and sure enough, I found a lone little tiny white connector on a end of a wire that was just hanging there. I found the place to plug it in. I plugged it in, and now everything works. And what I was doing back there was just trying to make some adjustments to the settings that I would have done in the beginning. So the first thing that I wanted to do here is I wanted to bring Dottie by the groomers again um, for her little maintenance thing once a month. 'Cause I think it's been about a month, and she was showing a little bit of discomfort. Um, so one of the funny things about doing the narration um, after the fact is it really changes the dynamic because I know what's coming next. This is future Rob talking to you. Present Rob has no clue what's coming in the future here. Not a smidgen. But while I'm doing this, I might show you the things that we're going by. There's quite a few notable RV parks on the right or left here on Main Street that a lot of people stay in. They're very popular. They're very convenient to everything, especially the Big Tent in January. All these are just going to be packed, packed, packed. And I think, yeah, this is Moon Mountain Road. And I think to the left there, they're going to be the camel rides in January. Yes, they actually have actual real camels out here, and you can pay to take a short camel ride and get your picture taken. That's Moon Mountain Mail on your right, and I don't have a reason to stop there today, believe it or not. So I'm going down to the groomer here. Okay, spoiler alert, it's closed. I didn't know it here. I'm thinking it's going to be open. I'm driving down here. I'm going to walk in, walk out, get my business done, and but the answer is going to be it's New Year's Eve. A lot of people take the time off, and they should. They should, especially coming up to this very busy month. January is it here for Quartzsite. The businesses and the people that make money on the tourists that come through in the winter, this is the make or break month. I can imagine if I were had a business here in Quartzsite, I would say, um, January's my. I saw the close sign, so I'm just turning around in the parking lot. But Quartzsite is my go month. I'm gonna work 7 days. I'm not gonna eat, sleep, drink. I'm just gonna work, and it's gonna be hell for 30 days. But then I'm gonna make the money that I'm looking for, and then I can relax come February 1st. Um, so that's what a lot of people that you're going to encounter when you're here in January. That's what they're doing. They are working harder than they have all year round. They're and don't think about though is people just getting rich off you. The people that you're face to face with often are going to be the people that work for the people that own the businesses, and they're just taking advantage of the longer hours, maybe a little overtime that they get, um, and they're working super, super hard. And a lot of times for not a lot of money. So I like to be an extra generous tipper in January in the town of Quartzsite, especially in the restaurants. But I try to tip anyone I do business with, anyone. And a lot of people say, "Oh, the tipping culture is out of control." I don't care anything about the tipping culture. I do what I think is right, and I always have. And the tipping culture or the things that are suggesting on tickets and on electronic things, a higher and higher amount. Um, I transitioned from 15 to 20% on meals. Oh, probably 10 years ago. When I first became an adult, it was a pretty solid 15. I was in a place where it was the tax times 1.5 or something like that, or the double the tax, something like that. Um, I forgot where I was, but it was a pretty straight. He gave 15% as a tip. Um, but uh, I changed to 20% probably over 20 years ago, I would say, and I've been on that since. And I round up, so it's always more than 20%. It's 20%. If 20% is uh, you know $9, I'm going to give you 10. So we're going to my favorite um, water station here at the mobile station, and um, the great mystic travels with Dottie knows the future here. It is very odd to do the narration, knowing what's coming next. So I'm not. So definitely let me whether if this is okay, or you'd rather have me go back to doing real time. There's something more authentic about doing it in the car. Um, and what I probably need to do is, if I go back to doing it in the car, I need to do my recording device, just recording it on the device and not worrying about connecting to the camera, especially when my face is not in the picture and it doesn't have to be in perfect sync. And there I am, and I will narrate what's happening here. He's putting the quarters in and they're going straight through, which means it's empty or broken. And I'm kind of bummed out. So here was the quandary here. As I put those through, I looked at the change return, and my quarters weren't coming through, but there were three quarters sitting in the change return that someone had left there. But I put in four quarters, and it didn't come through the change thing or not. I'm like, should I take these three quarters? Are they mine, kind of? Well, I took the three quarters since there was no one else anywhere around. So I lost a quarter. And whoever did this before, I guess, didn't realize they went through and they lost three quarters. But the big winner was the the company here that does the water that got at least five quarters that they didn't dispense anything for. There's a number that you call here if you have a problem, and what do they do? Mail you a check for $1? I don't know. It doesn't seem worth it. But generally, what happens is you put in the quarters and they just pass through, and you take your quarters and you go on with life. Um, so I'm gonna go off to another one that looks just like this on North Central, and the only difference is you don't get the bonus water. If you put in four quarters, you get 5 gallons, 5 gallons even. So in this place, I know I have to put in five quarters to fill up my 6 gallon water tank. And again, you can notice how it's the road's busier than it has been. It does get a lot busier than this over the next week or so, especially now. Um, I'm recording this the day after, so I'm recording this at like 6:30 in the morning on New Year's Day. I'm definitely future Rob is talking to you here because this is a New Year's Eve video, and the future Rob is from another year. I'm talking to you from 2025. So there's two problems with doing a after the fact narration. One is that I know the future, and uh, so that's a potential problem. The other thing is, okay, I had come up with two things and I've already forgotten the second thing. I forget stuff that's happened, and I might not even mention it. So, do I hold you in suspense, or do I tell you now? I don't know. It doesn't feel authentic to hold you in suspense. The other machine's going to work just fine. It's going to cost me 5 quarters to fill up my 6 gallons. No problem. But it'd be nice to show you where this is. Here's an advantage for it to being future Rob, because I know what else we're doing today, and there's a couple of things that are coming towards the end of this video that may be even more interesting than just seeing general quartzite street scenes. I'm taking you out to where my meetup is going to be at the dog park, and I kind of was scouting the location, and I've decided exactly where it's going to be. I think it's going to be dog park adjacent, but I'll show you when we get up here. And this will show you how to get to the dog park if you're in town. It's really easy. If you don't want to go back to this video and find the timestamp or wherever it is that I go there, here I'm coming up on the big intersection of town. I can make a left on Central. That's but I didn't quite make the light, so we're gonna have to sit here for a minute. Um, it'll show you how to get there, but you don't really need that. You can put just dog park in the GPS. It'll get you there. And and actually, the dog park is part of the Quartzsite Town Park, which is quite large actually, and there are a number of ways um, to get at um, that park. And the RTR, the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous, is going to be there. And while we're waiting for the light to turn, let's let's pull up the information on the RTR for this year. Um, okay, uh, so the women's RTR will be January 8th through the 10th, and is that right? And the regular RTR is the 11th through the 16th. So let's look at the calendar real quick. Um, you know what? My calendar, for some reason, because I was looking at somebody's birthday, and it was on 2024. So here's 2025. Um, so the RTR, as I said, the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous, and if you don't know what that is, here we are in just you can watch me in the background do this. This is see, there's the water station right there, and I'll continue to talk about the RTR. The RTR, rubber tramp. A rubber tramp is kind of an old school for a nomad that drives around. Um, a leather tramp is someone that a nomad on foot, leather, shoe, rubber, car tire. So this organization caters to rubber tramps or nomads that live and travel in vehicles. Like me, I'm a rubber tramp. Um, I live full time in an RV, and I got rubber on all my truck and trailer tires, so I'm a rubber tramp. And I've been going to rubber tramp rendezvous. This will be my fourth one, and it's a free thing, and it's every year now in Quartzsite from in the week leading up to the big tent. And there are a lot of presentations and displays and activities that are catered toward our nomad community. And it was designed for people that are like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do this. Teach me how to do everything. And they will teach you how to keep warm, how to change a tire, how to do budgeting, how to do all kinds of things for free. And there are lectures and workshops and demonstrations. And more important than all those things are you get a real sense of what this community is all about, which is the by far the most important thing. Um, and it's it's a it's a cool thing. Now, um, it's right in the same park where the dog park is, so that's all in the same place. It's over. I always get into where the RTR is. There are two ways to get in, but I go down where the library is, and when you get to the library, you look to your left, and there are two, um, you know, display U.S. Air Force jets on a corner, and that marks the corner of the park. You make a left there, and you kind of go around the block by the community center, and you find the RTR, which takes up the baseball diamond. There's a stage. There's plenty of parking. There's plenty of parking even for rigs. Don't worry. It's a rubber champ rendezvous. They'll accommodate whatever you got. Um, so they do have a separate things for women only from January 8th to the 10th. And here's the idea that women nomads that travel on their own have issues that are unique to gender. And it's a safe and private, semi-private, but a place for women to get together to discuss these issues. And after that, so that is the 8th, 9th, and 10th, Wednesday through Friday. And then the 11th, starting that Saturday, um, that's when the RTR really begins. And generally, if I'm right, where one of the big openings is the founder of this, Bob Wells, and you might know him from Cheap RV Living. Um, he he always does a keynote speech that, to me, I'm always inspired by his keynote speech. He's he, he's a gifted communicator, and he's a really a symbol of the modern nomad movement. Um, Movement's a little strong. The community, nomad community. Don't worry, this isn't any kind of a cult. Trust me. Um, and after that, my close friend Deborah Dickinson, author Deborah Dickinson, follows him. So you know this. If you have a presenter that follows Bob, it's a big deal because that's where the biggest audience is. And she is a prolific author, and one of the first books she ever, earlier book she did was How Being a Nomad Saved My Life. And she's going to make a presentation on that book. So don't miss that. I will be there. Um, for the second year, I'm going to be part of a emotional health slash mental health panel. And tentatively, I am going to be on the following Wednesday, which is let's see, look at the calendar here. When it looks like Wednesday the 22nd is when I think at 1:30 I'll be doing my presentation. I'm thinking of having the meetup at the dog park the week before, so we'll figure that out in plenty of time. I'll mention it in a bunch of videos, and I'll mention it in a bunch of daily Quartzsite um, comment videos, which I do daily. Don't worry, you won't miss it. So here we are back at the big intersection, and we're making a left onto East Main Street. And my initial intention here was, okay, I've got a little grocery list to do. We got a potluck on New Year's Day. I need to get in there and buy a list of stuff, but I'm going to bypass the place I was going to go, Coyote Fresh Foods, and I'm going to take a run down to those places that I was talking about. Um, the place where they have the RTR, the place where the dog park, and I'm going to have my meetup. So I'm going to show you how to get there. So I'm heading, like, if you're coming north into town on Central, you make a right on Main Street. If you're coming from the south, you make a right on Main Street. If you're coming from the north, make a left on Main Street. You find yourself here, and you'll up after a while, after this crosswalk light, you'll see Family Dollar. You'll see this red and gray building, and get in the left-hand lane because you want to take this next left here. And one of the other final marker is don't go past Discount Solar. That's Discount Solar right there. Make one a left in. And there's a lot of like city or town services on this road. The up here on the right is going to be the Quartzsite Police Department is on the right. Also, up further on the right is going to be the town library, which is a great resource. Let me tell you, of course, they have free Wi-Fi, but they also have an access to a whole row of computers that are online that you can get on for free and do whatever you need to do. And they're also connected to printers. So if you want to print stuff, I think I don't, yeah, I can't tell you how much the printing is because I printed one page and I gave him $1 and I said keep the change and didn't even ask him what the change was. So if I had to guess, I'd say maybe a quarter a page or something like that. But if you have some legal document or something that you have to have printed, you don't have a printer, you can, and it's either you can come in with a thumb drive, that's what I did, or if what you need to print is online, you can just go in, pull it up online, print it. Easy peasy. And the printers are behind the counter, so you go up and say, "Hey, I just printed this thing." They'll bring it up to you. You'll hand your dollar or two over, and it'll be done. So I've been jabbering. I think we passed the library on the left, and at the library to go to the RTR, I would have made a left back there, but I'm going beyond that because I know the dog park is down here on the left. Pretty much everything on the left is part of the park system. Um, that's that we just passed another entrance into part of the park there, but the next entrance down here is going to be the dog park. Now you'll notice when we turn in here that the dog park is broken into three separate dog parks divided by fences, and the reason for that is they do the first one on the left here is going to be the small dog, then medium dog, then large dog. So they don't mix all the dogs together, which is nice. And you're not going to get a real clear view of that on the left, but it'll be obvious. What I'm heading directly to is um, this pavilion thing that somebody said that would be a good place to hear meetup, and this is where I'll have my meetup. And what I'm doing up here is they're like rule signs. So I wanted to read all these rules and make sure there wasn't something on there that said, hey, you have to reserve this or it's only for special events. And basically, there was a section here are the things you need a permit for. And the only thing that would be remotely applicable, it says if you have anything, an event that lasts more than 7 hours, you have to have a permit. So I would not need a permit. There's lots of places to sit there. If it's warm and it's sheltered from the sun, I think that's going to be that's where we're going to have the meetup. So keep in mind, we drove right into the dog park. The dog parks were on our left, and we just drove straight ahead. This is the parking lot. It's a huge parking lot. There are plenty of places to park. So if you want to come to the meetup, hang out with me for a few minutes, and then take your dog into the dog park. There you go. Easy peasy. So the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back the way I came, and when I get to the library, I'll point it out on the left here. I'm going to make that right where those jets, display jets are. And yeah, they're full size, like real military jets on the corner. It's kind of neat. And I will tell you that you're going to see where the RTR is going to be, but the RTR is actually there because there's so much infrastructure they put in there, it looks way different than the way you're going to see it now. And there's the library on the left, I believe. We're coming to a stop here at the stop sign, and we're going to make the right here. And I don't know if the jets are going to be visible. Are they going to be visible on this side? No, they're off camera on the right, but on the corner, these two jets on stands, you really can't miss them. Sorry about that. So we're going to go all the way down here. We're going to make a couple of turns to get where we need to go. But so the park itself is off to the right here, and there's a community center down here that so we'll make a right here. I can't remember the name of the street, but you'll recognize it. And then come to this stop sign and make another right. In the community center is on this corner on the right here. And when you come to park here, don't park on the street in front of the community center. They really don't like that. Like, don't park right there on the right. You got a ways to go here until you get to the actual park area. And you see that brown building on the left there, that's going to be like a center point for the RTR. What we're driving into now is a massive parking lot. When you get here for the RTR, it's going to be a sea of rigs and cars. So it won't look anything like this. It'll just be a sea of cars. And you come in, there'll be people with like reflective vests on guiding the parking. So you don't need to worry about where to go. They'll tell you where to go. And off to the right is the baseball field. That's where all the events are. There are vendors all over the place. This is it. This is where the RTR is, and you will not recognize it because it'll be full, so full of tents and people and stages and stuff that it won't be recognizable. But trust me, my friends, this is where it happens. And we're going back the way we came out. And up here, this building on the left is the community center. And every year they're complaining, people don't park at the community center. They, they want the parking available for people coming to the community center, not for people coming to the RTR. Now, if you went straight there, you could get out and you will get out off Central Boulevard north of the big intersection. So there's multiple ways in and out of here. I'm just showing you the way I usually go. Um, and by no means does it need to be the way that you go. All the GPSs will have, town park, wherever you'll get there. Just about anyone in town knows where it is. There's signs. It's not, Quartzsite's not a big place. The town itself in the middle, it's not that big. And it's laid out in a pretty good grid. There's some little anomalies with the smaller streets, but if you think about Central, which is 95, is going north to south, and in uh, Maine going from east to west, it um, creates four quadrants, right? So the big tent, if you're looking at that map, would be in the southwest quadrant. That's where the big tent and Tyson Wells and everything would be. And in the northwest quadrant would be where the park is and everything. Um, so that's kind of the way to think about it. So now I'm saying to myself, okay, I've done all that, I've shown all that, and I want to head home and uh, so I'm gonna stop at Coyote Fresh and get my short list of things to buy for our camp potluck and our special guests, which will be Charlie and Diane, my friends from Eagle Nest, New Mexico, who are here, just arrived this Sunday. They'll be coming today. And oh, I'm so excited. It's almost 6 hours from now. I'll be seeing them again. So we're back on Main Street making a right. And up here, we're going to quickly find right next to the Family Dollar, we're going to find Coyote Fresh. You got to kind of watch it here. The first thing is the first entrance right there is where he's coming out is for the Family Dollar, and the second one is for the Coyote Fresh. And there's a berm between the two, so if you miss it, you can't just go through the parking lot to the other one. So just be aware of that. Interesting little tidbit, isn't it? So here we are. Found a nice parking spot at Coyote Fresh. I said every year there's the two grocery stores, Coyote Fresh and Roadrunner. They're down the street from each other. They're both on East Main Street. They're both local supermarkets, and I love them both the same. And I gotta confess, don't tell anybody, I've developed a slight affinity for Coyote Fresh. Um, okay, two reasons. One is now this is definitely even after going to Smart and Final and Walmart, I am buying my hamburger for Dottie's Meals here. It's a bet. They had a better price than Smart and Final in Blythe, and they had within 10 or 20 cents per pound of going all the way up to Walmart. And you know the hamburger is fresh and it sits in the case, and you order how much you want instead of getting it prepackaged. And I get 5 pounds. The last time in it was $32 for 5 pounds. So that's just those six pounds and change, right? A little over $6 a pound and change. Um, so I was what is that, six and a quarter or something? It's a good price. I love the beef. And here's the second thing they have here. They have what they call crab salad. It's spelled with a K. So no, folks, it's not real crab. If it were real crab, you'd be taking out a mortgage to buy it. It's they call it imitation crab, and imitation crab isn't some chemical, AI thing. Imitation crab is just using other kinds of fish that kind of taste like crab. It's so good here. Oh my. I've been buying imitation crab salad for many years. Now, here I am I want peanut butter and jelly. And I'm staring at it a long time because all the jelly I see that would be my flavor, all sugar-free jelly. Well, that's probably good for my type 2 diabetes, yes, but I don't use much. I want the real thing. And the only it didn't show on the screen, but they didn't have any Jif. And Jif is the only kind of peanut butter I really like, so I refused. So um, here I am just kind of poking around, see what I could buy without having to stand in line there. And I eventually decide, you know what? Um, I need to buy like some kind of this. I think one of the ladies suggested coleslaw. I'm gonna have to stand in line there. So after a few minutes of poking, oh, I did buy rolls. I found some rolls, two different kinds of rolls. That's so my contribution to the potluck is some like fresh dinner rolls, and the coleslaw, which future Rob knows I didn't buy coleslaw. I bought something else, and I'm gonna suck you into this narrative and keep you here because I'm not going to tell you what I bought. I'm going to make it a mystery. So I'm on another fruitless search here for my little flavor things that the little things I squirt into um, my water bottles to give it flavor, and I couldn't find any. And I'm like, you know what? I think Roadrunner has those. Not here. So that's kind of funny. My cart was back there, and this guy kind of had his hand on the handle, and I wonder, is he going to take it off my handle? Does he think it's his cart? But just as I walked up, he he turned around. Awkwardness avoided. Now, checking my list, just like Shannon fellas, I'm checking my list twice, and I'm resigning myself to, I need to go get in line over there at the deli. See that bigger? There's two lines. There's kind of a bigger one there by the hot foods and a smaller one here by the deli. So I got in the smaller one. Um, the reason there's a bigger one at the line, they serve three hot meals a day at a reasonable price. And people just love to come in here and buy these. They're homemade hot meals, is essentially what they are. And the line to get to these foods is a real testament to the quality and the value that they deliver here at Coyote Fresh. I mean, I know people in the Posa South that'll, run about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They go, I'm hungry for dinner. I don't want to cook. They hop in the truck, they drive into Coyote Fresh, and they buy their dinner and bring it home. They'll go into town just to get their dinner at Coyote Fresh. And they also have breakfast. And there's not a big distinction between lunch and dinner, but they have breakfast stuff. They have a great breakfast burrito. They have baked, they have all kinds of things. Um, so while I'm waiting, I'm just kind of showing you what all the things were there, and I had my eye on the macaroni salad. It looked really good. This is not stuff, pre-made salads that Coyote Fresh buys from some vendor, right? And I'm keeping the camera down because I make it a practice in these businesses when I'm dealing one-on-one with an employee, I do not put them on camera. It's not fair to them. So I'm waiting for them to deliver my macaroni, and I'm just showing you what else is in all the deli stuff that's available in the case there.
That's perfect.
And I'm betting there are people going, Rob,
Look at you go.
why
You got
didn't you
enough
show
tomatoes for
us
this
what
guy?
those meals looked like and how much they were and what all the options are? Well, neither future Rob or past Rob thought of that. So maybe the next time I'm in there, I'll buy a
That's it.
meal.
That'll do it. That's my potluck contribution.
And you can kind of hear me vaguely in the
Thank you.
background talking. What I've done is I've turned the
Nice.
volume way down
All right. What else
um,
do we want here? Oh,
on
you
those
know what?
interactions.
Maybe ice cream. Maybe ice cream.
So now, if I remember right, I'm going, you know what? I think I might need some ice cream. I haven't had ice cream in a while. And again, people are like, how can you eat ice cream? You're a type 2 diabetic. Well, I eat it sparingly. And I don't do all the things I should do to to control my type 2 diabetes. I take my medication. Um, if you're interested, my last A1C was a year ago now. Oh, a year and a day. I just looked at it the other day. It's 6.2. Normal is 5.7, so I'm not that bad at all. There are people who would say that's well controlled. Now, if my numbers were higher, and I do need to get another blood test to see where I am right now to make sure I'm not out of control at all. If the test results are higher, I would be more vigilant about what I'm eating. I'm looking for those squeeze things again. I'm convinced that they're there somewhere, and you know what? They're not. They're not. So now I'm looking to find a line this is, you know, this is maybe not the line to get in. And I look over to the other register and I see, hey, this looks like a pretty short line. I get in behind these guys. And I got in right there. So now once I get in line, here's the thing I do. Oh, because I didn't want to get anybody in line or anything on camera. So I skipped ahead there. Um, and here's what I'm thinking as I'm getting in the car. Um, I didn't get the peanut butter or jelly. Can I wait till later or can I get it now? And I decide, you know what? I'm going to just zip by Roadrunner and I bet they have the peanut butter and jelly. And look, I did good. I looked away when I put my code in. People freak out when I put in my code on camera because they're convinced that um, uh, the car and Dottie will
Hi,
get
Dottie.
stolen.
Hi, the Dottie
And there's
dog.
little Dottie dog patiently waiting. And yes, she always patiently waits. Just for those of you that don't know me, it was very cool outside. The windows were down. She's very comfortable. If I'm someplace like in a store and it's warm out, I will leave the engine running and the AC going, even though I think it's a violation to do that in just about every state to leave not to leave your dog in the car. It's a violation to leave your car running unattended, even if it's locked. But I take my risk because I want my Dottie dog with me. And I don't do it. I won't like go someplace for 3 hours and leave the engine running. It's like errands, going into a grocery store, coming back. Um, so I'm leaving the camera on my chest because guess what? I'm going down to Roadrunner, and this gives you an idea of how close Roadrunner is to Coyote. Because I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make a right on uh, Main Street. And I think it's going to take a minute here. This is another barometer for how busy it is. Usually I just pull right out. Took a couple of minutes because of the traffic. And I think when I leave Roadrunner up here, I think it's much worse and wait a lot longer. But look how close it is. I'm going to be there in just a second. I know you can't see well through the windshield, but you'll be able to tell when I turn in. When I make a right-hand turn, it's going to be into Roadrunner. There's the Chevron, and there it is. I'm turning in. We're at Roadrunner. There's Roadrunner. That's how close they are together. You could walk from one to the other, but not, not, not many people do. Who wants to carry their groceries while walking? Here's another advantage to um, narrating and knowing what's going to happen. Just to give you some context, I have a soft cover um, on the back of my truck. It's the shape of one of those hard covers, but it's soft. And the guy is saying,
Oh, it's great.
"Hey, can
I
you
love
tell
it.
me about that
Best,
soft
one of the
cover?"
best decisions I've ever made.
So I explained it to him. I said that it's the
And I
one
had
of
a
the
good
best
friend of mine
investments
that's
I've
had the
ever made
same one
because
for
like a
17 years.
hard
Looks
one,
just like
like
the other one.
fiberglass
Yep.
one,
Yeah, I can't. It's
a
about
new
a
one can
thousand
run you
dollars,
two or three
but it's worth
thousand
it.
dollars. This it's called a soft topper, is functions the same, only it's made out of kind of a reinforced canvas with a aluminum frame. Is just a little under $1,000 and it's great. And I said, look,
Hi.
I've had it for a year, and I have a buddy of mine that has exactly the same one, and he's had his for 7 years, and it looks just like mine in terms of wear. So he was impressed. So guess what? I happen to know this that the Jif peanut butter and the jelly were right here um,
There we go.
on the right. So I grabbed those two things. And,
Exactly.
I came in for two things. And there's something about me intrinsically that cannot walk into a grocery store and buy the intended two things that I wanted and go straight to the register. No, 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 no. I have to shop around for something that I probably don't need. And I'm looking. Actually, what I'm kind of looking here for is some kind of dip or something for crackers. And FYI, I am almost out of crackers. Then I always look to see what are the prepackaged things that they've made here. Not prepackaged, but they have things they do fresh that they put into these packages. And I zero in on something that might be good for crackers. And it was a little container. You didn't see me pick it up because it was off camera, but their version of seafood salad. And it's a lot finer chopped, so you can kind of use it as kind of a dip for crackers. So I bought that. And spoiler alert, it was good. And here are right there the little Mio things. That's what I was looking for in Coyote. And I'm saying a new flavor. I always try the new flavors. That's a new flavor, so I grabbed that. And I think I'm ready. I think I got everything. And so this line in the middle, there are three lines. This line in the middle is the fastest one because no one gets cigarettes or anything in it or anything from behind the counter. So I got through there, um, and I am ready now. So I just showed you the thing that's on the hood of my car that I just snapped the camera on. Very secure. But again, future Rob knows something about that too. Something is about to happen that'll make me stop my car in the middle of the street related to the camera that you will not be able to see. You can kind of hear a little rustling in the background. That's me just putting all the bags away. You would think I had like one bag. How much rustling should it friggin' take to put a bag away, get in your car, and start moving? Let's go, Rob. Go, go. What are you doing? You know what? I think I know what I'm doing here. Um, now that I remember, when I turned the car back on, I was listening to like satellite radio. I like listening to the Today Show radio. And when I turned it on, it like disappeared. I was trying to get it back. I like listening to those guys. So enjoy watching people walk across the parking lot at the Roadrunner Market in Quartzsite, Arizona. People backing out of parking spaces very carefully. And I realize this is about to get worse because when I actually get going here, I'm gonna have a hard time getting onto the road because of the traffic. You know, the number of you right now going, Rob, come on, what are you doing? It was me, and I'm sitting here a day later saying, Rob, what are you doing? Come on, let's go. Listen to something else. Hey, how about this? Drive and listen to friggin' silence. That might work. Hey, he listened to me. All right. So this looks like, this will just take a minute. No. So what this guy in front of me is doing, as it turns out, is wanting. I suspected because of the angle of the car, this person wanted to make a left onto Main Street, and that's what he was doing. Another spoiler alert. But one of my friends adventuring with Amanda, she has a robust channel much two or three times the size of mine. What she says is her absolute barometer for how busy it is in Quartzsite is look at that guy. Did you just see that go by? That was a truck camper pulling a trailer with two huge side by sides on it. Her barometer for how busy it is in Quartzsite is how long it takes her to make a left turn on Main Street in Quartzsite. So we're pretty moderately busy today. So here we go. And you would think I'm like, okay, everything's done. All of I got my water, I got the stuff for the potluck. And Rob, just reminding past, future Rob, reminding past Rob, you have ice cream in the car. You don't have a cooler in the car. You have ice cream. So, but despite that, the urgency of getting the ice cream back, which it's fine, it made it. Um, I at the last minute make a decision to show you one last thing and make one last detour. So here I am making a left on Central, which is also Arizona 95. So we're going south on 95. If I kept going, I would end up in Yuma, and if I really kept going, I'd end up at the Mexican border. So this incline, this hill that we're going over, is the bridge, the overpass over Interstate 10. So keep in mind we're going south. And as we come over the crest of the hill here, you're going to see on your right the area called Tyson Wells, where the big tent is. And you can see the big tent now. Look at that big white thing on the right. That is the big tent. That wasn't there before. It's huge. It's iconic. It's exciting. And I think you deserve a closer look at it. But I hadn't decided that yet. Here I'm stopped at this is Kuhn Street. If I wanted to go into Tyson Wells where all the vendors are, I'd make a right. If I want to go home, I'm going straight. And I'm thinking, okay, got ice cream, gotta go home. Got ice cream, gotta go home. They didn't really get a good look at the tent. I think people really want to see the tent, especially people that don't know what the tent is. And I keep talking about the tent. They want to see the tent. I should just slow right down here, make a right, and point the car in, just drive into where the tent is. Do it. Do it. Do it, Rob. Do it. And I did it. People say these big water tanks look like elephants. Somebody gave me a direction. If you want to get back here, turn to where the elephant tanks are. That's what they mean. Look, they have even ears on them. They sort of dress them up like elephants. So you can't get all the way in here because it's like they warn you, they don't want you in here because they're working. Um, but I was able to get this far. Look at the size of that tent. That's the big tent, and it's huge, and it's going to be from one end to the other filled with vendors and surrounded completely with vendors and RVs and in places to eat and things to buy and crowds of throngs of people and even the electric e-bike people out of Phoenix, they outside the tent they have an area where they have a test track where you can test drive their e-bikes. And boy, they sell a lot of e-bikes every year there. You see people pushing their new e-bikes home out of there all through the all through it. And when are they going to open? Well, that's a good question, is it not? There, it's January 18th, Saturday, and I believe it will go into the 28th, which is Sunday. So it's like 9 days, I think. But I try to go there and do a video every single day. It's that big. I can do a different video every day that continues to be interesting. So I went back out the way we came, made a right, and now I'm heading back home south on 95. And I'm passing La Posa West on the right, La Posa North on the left, where that brown sign was. And then the next stop it'll be La Posa, Tyson Wells, or Tyson West, Tyson Wash on the right, and my home, La Posa, south on the left. So for LTVA, acronym for long-term visitor areas, in a grid here on the south side of Quartzsite. And again, the, if you don't know, these are areas that require a permit to camp down here. And a permit costs $40 for 2 weeks or $180 for the entire season. And no, the season starts September 15th through April 15th. And no, they don't prorate it. If you buy a season pass on the last day, you're going to spend $180 for a day, right? Which who would do that? I think you can even, you would buy a day pass for You wouldn't go on the last day. It's just silly. Um, but some people, they just come for the big tent. They'll buy a 2 week pass. So there's also BLM land around that's 14 days free. There's no fee or anything. So why would you pay a fee here? Well, the reason is in my little world here, La Posa South has facilities for dumping your tanks, gray and black water, and filling with fresh water. And that would be the amenities that you're paying for that would be convenient. Otherwise, you'd have to go into town to one of the few businesses that have those services and you'd have to pay out of pocket for it. They also have, in all four of these, they have dumpsters where you can put your trash. And if you're boondocking in the desert or on national forest land, um, suddenly, oh, I did another detour. This is La Posa Tyson Wash, and future Rob forgot past Rob did that. So a couple years ago or last year, they constructed dump stations and water stations over here to be the ultimate replacement to the old ones that we're using now, and everybody was real excited about them, and they never opened. And people were like, "Oh my God, why didn't they open? They look so wonderful." Well, they didn't open because they hired a company to come down and drill for water. You drill a well, or you drill actually more properly into the aquifer, the freshwater aquifer that is in this region. And they hit water, but it just wasn't enough volume to make these stations work. And So there wasn't enough volume, wasn't enough water pressure, and there wasn't enough budget in the contract to continue and go deeper, so they're stuck. So this never really opened. And I'm just going to drive through one of the water stations here to prove it to you that it's here in the middle of nowhere. And here we are. Here are the water stations. All I think these are the waters all by their lonesome. So that's one of the reasons they're having to increase the fee. So among many, many, many other infrastructure things, they're able to pay this company to come back to resume the drilling and open up these things because the ones in across the street where I live are many decades old. I and it's they're on their last legs. They needed to be replaced. And because they haven't raised rates since 2008, they got stuck. So the proposal is to raise the rates from the current $180 for the season to $600, which is it's a big increase by anyone's definition. And I believe the 2 weeks for $40 was going to go to a 30-day pass for $200. I think. I'm not so sure about that second part, but I'm sure about going from 180 to 600. And people were up in arms. They have not announced. They've had all the hearings and public meetings and stuff. I imagine after the first of the year, they'll announce what the new rates are. Um, and you would think there would be rumors going all over the place on what it's going to be, but I've only heard one, and it was from one of my viewers that said a very simple sentence. I've heard that it's going to be $300. Why would I believe that? Other than it being a much more reasonable increase than 180 to 300 is much more reasonable than 180 to 600. So I rely often on my instincts, which another way to say my intuition. And when I read that simple sentence, I don't know the person that posted it. I had a my instincts, my intuition said, this person I think knows what they're talking about. I think they know someone and they have heard some reliable source, and I believe them. And I have no other reason other than what I just described to you to think that that's true. It'll be very interesting to think to see if it's true and see if my intuition is serves me. My intuition isn't 100%, but let me tell you, it's about 80. I'm saying my intuition, I would be say with confidence, is right about 80% of the time. This could be part of the 20. I get it. So we just crossed the street back into my homeland, La Posa South, my homeland. That's the where that jacketed yellow person was going into the office. That's the office. When you come in to get your permit, you go past the office and you pull into the right there where that pickup truck was. See that big um, moon-shaped parking lot there? That's where you can pull your big in rig in there, get out, go up, buy your permit. They will actually come out and put that permit on your rig for you and on your car if you have a car too. And you can certainly see lots of people here, lots of traffic. Um, it's just there's a swell of um, people pouring into this area between now and essentially the start of the Big Tent. Generally, people that are big into coming for the Big Tent show, and it is a huge attraction. Um, they come in like the week before, a few days before. So if it starts, what did I say it started on? Um, let's see, let's go back to January. I said it started on the 18th. So that week will be the peak of the people coming in, the big wave of people coming in. Um, I remember being where I'm camped now, where I camp every single year, which is relatively quiet. Suddenly, one day, a big group came in with like 100 rigs, and I felt I was in the middle of a giant city of RVs. It was surreal for about a week. It was wall to wall RVs. And it was kind of exciting, but by the end of the week, I was ready for them to go home. And they did. They stayed a week and they all went home. So here I am, sort of going back the way I left this morning, the same route. And this way, when I go through the wash, going through the other way, I think you're going to get more of appreciation for um, how steep this wash is that I drive through in my truck. I remember the first time when I was camping out here, and somebody says, "Drive through that wash to go to town. It's a shortcut." It's like, "There's no way I'm taking my truck through that wash. It's too dangerous." And they laughed and they said, "There's an older lady out here in a little tiny car that drives through it every day." And sure enough, I saw this lady just easily drive through it, and I went, "Okay, maybe I can do this." So it's coming up here on this road, and there's a slight right turn to get there. And you can see it up there on the right. Doesn't that? It looks kind of steep from this angle, and it is that steep. It's pretty steep. So that's the side I came down coming out. See those two guys going up it on the e-bikes. That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about. And I even engage my differential lock so I don't spin any wheels. So you can tell it's pretty steep. Yeah, I got up there though. And here I am coming into camp. And there's my camp there on the left. And what you think, what's that blue thing? Well, I'll show you when we turn. I'll tell you when I when I turned towards it and you could see it, it was actually a birthday present that my friends Daryl and Jim gave me for my birthday last year. And they bought it at the Big Tent, the vendor that sells windscreen. It's a windscreen, and you can choose the scene. There was a desert scene. I said, why would I want a desert scene? I live in the desert. Give me the beach scene. So it's a beach scene, and it's a windscreen, so it's windy. I sit outside my rig. It's not that windy behind that. Isn't that remarkable? So again, future Rob does not remember why past Rob is just sitting in the truck here and not doing anything. You can hear the wind because there is a microphone on the camera, but keep in mind the camera's stuck to the hood of the truck. It's kind of I'd say it's a brisk wind between around 9 or 10 miles per hour. You see that windscreen is billowed out very nicely like a sail. So I've oriented everything so behind me is west, and that's where most of the wind comes from here. And if you're wondering about what do you got there, Rob? I got a 2021 Winnebago Micro Mini 2100 PH with the Adventure package. So it's a 21-foot travel trailer. It uh, it one of the things that I appreciate that it came with it is an upgrade is the air conditioner is a 15,000 BTU air conditioner, which is a very large size for a small RV. So why do I like that? Well, one, a bigger unit does not have to work as hard as a smaller one. To give you some context, that I had a 27 foot, which was 6 foot longer than this trailer, and it was a foot wider, so a much bigger trailer. It was 8 feet wide. This one's 7 feet wide, so it was 8 by 27. This is 7 by 21, and uh, I had a 13,500 BTU air conditioner, what kept up just fine. But to give you, it's a bigger air conditioner on a much smaller space. So um, I really like that. I think it's a big plus to have more than you need for that kind of power. Um, Hang on just a second, and I'll be right back. Okay, I just cut out some stuff. I didn't want to just sit here talking about nothing. Well, I have no idea what I was doing for that long, but it looks like the door opened and I just came back out because I think I'm about to appear again suddenly. And yeah, here I come because I realized, do I have it? I'm in the trailer going, do I have everything? And the answer is no, not really. Well, oh, there I go in again. And in a minute I'm checking everything, make sure did I bring everything in, and I'm going, where's the camera? Probably need to charge the camera and transfer the files. Where the heck, what did I do with the camera? Now I'm checking my pockets. But we all know where the camera is now, don't we? Rob, hello? It's out here on the car. This is embarrassing. How long it's taking me for it to dawn on me that I left it sitting on the car. I think I'm going through the grocery bags. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a camera and I'll stick it in a grocery bag so I have everything together. It's not the case here because it's still on the car. Ah, here I come. You you forgetful old man, you. And here he comes.
I forgot it.
Okay, these are my friends. This is New Year's Eve. The sun's kind of going down, and I said, "Relax. I'm not recording any audio. You can swear." There you go, Cheryl. You can swear if you want. There's Bob and Kathleen and Judy, uh, Kathleen and Bob and Barb and Judy. And Lisa's not out yet. We don't know where Lisa is, but we got these two fires going. We got the sunset just about happening, and this is how I closed New Year's Eve. And I hope all of you had a wonderful New Year's Eve too. Take care, and I will see you all in 2025 with the first of the year positive news video and the first of the year comment video. Take care and great year to you.